Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it's Play Up Props here on a Friday for you guys. We are going to be looking at about 4 of those bets in here. We also have best bets up for you each and every weekday. So go ahead and like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us all season. Also head to thelines.com. Check out everything we're putting up on the site right now. And also use that prop finder tool to make sure you're getting the best juice available to you from all these books, giving us NBA Play Up Props this season. Nate, let's go ahead and run right into your first Play Up Prop.
Yeah, Kevin Durant to score 30 and hit 2 threes is the way I found to adjust the odds here. I mean, it's minus 150 at some places for him to score 30 or even to go 31. But if you just add the 3-pointers, you're at plus 115. And I think that's a little scarier maybe because some games he just doesn't shoot threes. But on average, he does hit this. He hits 2.3 on the road this season, and really since 2021, he's hitting 2.3 on the road, 45% from 3 versus 40% in home games. On the road this season, he scores more, 4 points per game more, usage rate 5% higher, 3 more minutes per game. So it's the same kind of theory that the Kings are going to push the pace at home, push the pace in terms of offensive efficiency, incredibly efficient at home. Their last 10 home games are averaging 250. And when Durant starts to feel that pressure, he will pull above the break threes, right? He will try to carry his team. We saw in their loss at Portland, he had 40, even though the Suns barely got over 100 as a team. So I feel very confident about him getting the 30 here against a sack team that allows the 4th most threes to small forwards, also a healthy amount to power forwards, depending where you position him. In general, 3rd worst opponent 3-point percentage at home. 4th most points per game. Their last 9 at home in particular, allowing 42% from 3 and more 3-point attempts. They were doing a really good job just limiting attempts in the early part of the season. Now they're a little bit below league average in that regard. Like Durant has 30 plus in 7 of his last 8 roadies. I said in the best bets, Alex Caruso is the only guy to stop him from doing that. Kings don't have any wing stoppers whatsoever. This is just going to be a tutor session for Keegan Murray or reminiscing for Harrison Barnes, whoever you want to put on him. But yeah, I mean, I like Durant here. I like De'Aaron Fox to come right back and see some sort of a similar shootout to what we saw a couple games ago where SGA and Fox both had 40-ish. I think you can go. I almost went like let's just go big odds here, both of them to get 35 or something, Fox and Durant, or 35-30, and like get the 3-1 or something, because I really could see that type of thing happening here.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's always high when I see 30 points, but obviously he climbs over this super consistently, and especially against this team. You talk about the road splits. I can't argue with it. So yeah, Godspeed for sure. And if the two made threes with that, yeah, should be pretty nice with the plus money. So yeah, I actually like the threes the best, to be honest with you, as I keep looking over it. But I'm gonna go ahead and split the unit. And I might actually just add another half unit at some point to the rebounds because I'm starting to really like it. But Jokic under 27.5 points, over 12.5 rebounds. And I love when I can find this stuff, and if it hits, then you look so freaking smart because you would do this negative correlation of stats. But the under 27.5 points, his low usage rate this season. And I've been listening to some of the DNVR stuff, their podcasts, and man, they're convinced like Jokic just isn't really trying yet, and it's hard to argue that he's putting on his best effort, and I'm confident that this is a strategic thing that somebody has helped him with. That was like, hey, you just won your first chip. Don't worry about coming out the gate and being the best team and going 21-3 or whatever. Worry about what happens when you get to February and March and you got to like prep for getting into April and May, and you're hoping you're in like a good space physically, etc. And so I'm here for that pop psychology about it, but most importantly, like it's just a potential explanation for the lack of usage rate that he's been putting forth in these games, and especially versus Brooklyn. So in his last 4 versus Brooklyn, he's got a 24% usage rate, averaging 27 a game. He's only gone over this number once versus them. in his last 4. And he's only gone over this number twice in his last 10 games. And it's something we've come back to with the points, especially once Murray came back and Gordon is fully healthy. KCP is back. The whole gang is in town for Denver. So the usage rate for Jokic can be what, it can go down a bit. He doesn't need to worry about scoring nearly as much. In the past, he has seemed to score a bit more on the road, but that hasn't been the case this season. And it's a big reason actually why they were losing games when Murray was out and they were on their road trip. But like I said, in this one, it doesn't seem to be how he plays against them. And we talked about it a bit earlier in the best bets video while we talking about an under in this game, because Brooklyn's defense doesn't travel well, but it plays very well at home. On the season, they have a 111 D rating at home versus 120 on the road, which was inflated by, as you called out, the 125 defensive rating they put up on their recent West Coast roadie. And that's where Denver scored 124 on them. And that was on the second leg of a back-to-back after beating Phoenix so that Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson could get theirs in revenge game, right? So that's a big reason for the under, for the scoring, the lack of points in the paint that they're allowing as well. For the Nets, called out how much of a difference Nick Claxton makes when you get him down there. The points in the paint go down, the fouls also go up, so there's free throws that could be had. But like I said, without the usage rate, I'm not too worried about it. And as far as the rebounding goes, 12.5 is a lot, and I got burned trying to play this number with him in a recent game. But this is where he should just be living, is down there, especially on the defensive glass, where I think he's going to gobble up most of those boards. And part of that is because Aaron Gordon is going to actually be guarding guys out on the 3-point line a lot more. So the second best rebounder on their squad is actually out on Cam Johnson majority of the time, which is why he had 0 rebounds, Aaron Gordon did, in the first half of last game, and only ended up with 2, I believe, because against the Nets, because he wasn't really needed at the end of a blowout, but like I said, 0 in the first half. So the way that Gordon's been rebounding this season, which is at a pretty nice rate, if he's not down there, then there's just more for Jokic, and his potential rebounds against his team, to just add to the point of why he's standing down there, he's just always down there. He's not really worried about the 3-point line nearly as much against his team. That's why his rebound chances were at 26 in the last season. That's what he averaged against them in the 2 games. In this past game, 20 rebound chances, 14 boards. Going to gobble up most of the boards that come his way. So,
yeah, I really like the rebounds, I think, more than the points. But you did hit this, I think, last week. You had under points over rebounds, and it came home, I think, against an Eastern Conference team as well. And we talked about this, where he doesn't necessarily have to ramp up the scoring that much. There were these Eastern Conference teams that don't see him as much overcompensate, and then he's able to just kind of move the ball around and put up those peripheral stats. Brooklyn coming off 101 points against the Knicks, a Knicks team that was hemorrhaging points on their West Coast road trip. Yeah. Means that their offense is not really clicking, means that maybe more rebounding opportunities, as he highlighted. Yeah. I'm going to go Scotty Barnes, over 29.5 points, rebounds, minus 110 at MGM here, as the Raptors are in Philly. Tough task, but he's come to play his last 3 against Philly, where he's finally gotten full minutes as a top option here. Averaging 25.7, 8.3 rebounds, also 7 assists per game. I'm staying away from the assists. Philly's been limiting those to a degree. But as far as the points and rebounds, Scotty's topped this in 6 of his last 9, averaging 24 and 9.3 rebounds with a 25% usage rate. The exceptions were Miami, the Knicks when they still had Mitch Robb, and a weird doubleheader with the Hawks where the Raptors just slept through the entire game and did nothing to inspire confidence. But in that span, 14.5 potential rebounds per game for Scotty Barnes. Philly, in their last 7 at home, are allowing the 10th most rebounds per game overall. In their last 9 overall, they're up to over 100 pace, which is strange to see from a Sixers team that usually grinds it out. But that's going to lead to some more rebounding opportunities. I think the points should be there for Scotty, whatever position you want to say he's going to be at. He's probably going to, if Tobias gets matched up on him, he just got cross-matched onto Cat, and Cat went for 23 and 13 while Gobert was shut down by Embiid. If Oubre or the fossil of Marcus Morris is on him, that's barbecue chicken. He should be able to get in the offensive glass, score in the paint. Basically every position should be vulnerable depending on the matchup, except Embiid. And on the other end, though, Toronto is number 1 limiting free throws in their last 9. So that is rebounding opportunities. If you're not letting Embiid and company parade to the free throw line, we're talking about many more chances. I wanted to have the balls to take under 35.5 points for Joel Embiid.
36.5.
36 now. Okay. Something he hasn't done in 7 straight against Toronto. Jakob Poeltl maybe can do a little bit against him, but I am simply too scared. The man is scoring 40 every single night, regardless of matchup. Just dropped 50 on Rudy Gobert.
Don't do it, Nate. Don't
So
do it.
instead, yes, I'll take a positive outcome from the Raptors' most effective player.
As a recent trauma victim of trying to bet under 55.5 PRA for Luka Doncic, there are such things as superhuman beings apparently in the NBA right now. Two of them we're talking about here, Joel and Luca. So yeah, I don't do it, Nate. I care about you. So I'm proud of you for staving off. I thought about it too, man. It's so tempting, but it set the internet ablaze the other day when people were like taking unders for Joel and then got a 50 burger. So it's just tough, man. It's tough to try to fade that guy right now. God bless the person who does it and then they get it right the one time that it happens next. I don't know that it'll be in this one, but yeah, the Scotty Barnes bet, I'm here for it. I've been burned by the Raptors, man. I've got a few teams on the no bet list right now, and Raptors stuff is up there. But you keep going back to their players, and you find the usage for them. He and Pascal, like that's who you're going to target if you're taking Raptors. So like the usage is there for him, and I have no qualms with it. I'm going to close out with an under for Clint Capella, CC, against the Heat. It was down to either he or Trey, and I still think Trey under 32.5. Is it still 32.5? It might be 30.5 for Trey. 28.5 right now, actually. Okay, yeah, I'm not taking an under on that for Trey. He's been going absolutely bananas, dude. And even his points and assists, I think, is 39.5 now. Still, bananas. Like, I can't do that. And he doesn't go over versus the Heat. You know how much I love taking Trey unders versus the Heat. We've done it pretty much ever since we started this show because he hasn't gone over in like 7 straight games versus Miami, or one of his last 8, I should say, in terms of points and assists combined, and the points, just taking those as well, he's gone under. But can't do it. So I'm going to CC because 12.5 is too high for Clint Capella, right? Like normally we should be seeing like 9.5, 10.5, and I don't think Okongwu's out or anything. So he's still gonna be eating into Capella's minutes, and that's why we love fading him. It also is just coming down to him playing against the Heat, which he's gone under 12. His prop in 4 of the last 5, and including this 12.5, he's gone under. He's gotten 16 points in one game last season at home. This game in Miami, so yeah, even more reason to feel good about. Wait, I want to make 100% sure I'm not lying to you. Yep, it is in Miami, and so the thing with Clint too is like what we talk about. There's no usage rate. There's no looking for him. There's either you get into the lane and throw the lob, or he's not involved at all. And obviously that is not going to work against Bam Adebayo, who plays drop defense very well. They hedge with the wings coming over. There's always 6 eyes on Trey, right? When he's playing that pick and roll against Miami. Spo obviously knows what he's doing against his team when it comes to defending the pick and roll ball handler. And this is something we should have been bringing up over the last couple of years, but just recently found this stat over the last about year or so. So the pick and roll ball handler stuff that you can find on advanced stats on NBA is wonderful, showing how the Heat have the top 5 defensive rating defending the ball handler specifically. Their guards are obviously incredible at hedging. The big men and like Bam move back very well, so he's going to be able to move his feet much more quickly than Clint Capella at this point. And that's why they're limiting centers to the fewest points per game in the league. Most centers at this point who are true centers are not back to the basket score guys. They're pick and roll rim runners or pick and pop. And Clint Capella certainly is not popping anywhere, but he is going to roll, and that's where he's not going to be effective. I said pick and roll ball handler. I meant pick and roll picker. Roller is what I kept meaning to say, because they are better against the roller because Bam does drop down. So that drop defense should be working against the center. Another reason that I was like, look, I can't take Trey right now. Averaging like 40 freaking points or whatever, 35 over his last like 10 games. Gone over this in 9 of 10. He's also throwing in double-digit assists like crazy. Dude's going off. So yeah, I'll go under for the center in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Trey has struggled against Miami in the past, so that's why I think you were leaning towards it, but let's steer clear of that one too. And just assume that, yeah, like he won't have as much success throwing lobs to Capella, which is his only source of offense. Like, also just like looking at this, like Okongwu it's kind of like a young running back, like taking over the snap share. Like he's played more minutes than Capella the last 2 games. He probably has earned more minutes in general. Capella got into foul trouble against Jokic and Embiid. It still got over these point totals, but the minutes were dropping. And you look at some of the tougher matchups against good drop defenses, like the Knicks with Mitch Rob, against Miami, against the Celtics. And yeah, he's nowhere near double digits basically. And he's playing under 30 minutes a game, and Okongwu's a better matchup for Bam. So I think the logic here is sound all around.
And just to add to the comparison, like Give Jalen Warren 75% of the snaps on Pittsburgh. Like, give Okongwu 75% of the snaps. It's so sad when you have a coach who, like, doesn't feel like he can just play who he wants or who would be best for the team because he's playing for his job right now and he feels more comfortable with vets. Like, you're talking to a Knicks fan who would love Tom Thibodeau to freaking open it up a bit. But that is all the time that we have for you in this one for Play a Props on Friday. Go ahead and subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets that we are also bringing you each and every weekday. Have a great weekend, and until we see you next, happy betting.